Hello, everybody. This is Corsair Mac, now past president of the Illinois Mental Health Counselors Association. And today I'm joined by our very own special guest, Dr. TJ Schoonover. How are you doing today?
Good. Excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to do this.
Mhm. So a lot of you may not know this, but TJ and I, we have a little bit of a background together, right? We went to the same program at NIU, and obviously he's gone on to do a lot of great things, and now he's back at NIU. We're going to get into that in a little bit. But everybody wants to know, how did you become interested in school counseling?
So when I did my master's at NIU, I did my degree in clinical mental health counseling, and then I worked for a little over a year in clinical mental health counseling at Mississippi Centers, right? That's where you more connection between me and Corsair. And then I went into Arkansas and did my PhD, and then I think my first semester there, I was doing some school-based work. Um, and just like I walked into like an elementary school, I was like, oh, this feels good. Like it just feels right. The chaotic energy, the messiness of it all. It just felt like stupid. It felt like home. I felt like comfortable in that chaos. And I just kind of mulled it over for a little bit. And I mentioned to my wife, I said, I think about school counseling. And then I talked to my mentor, and she thought it was a good idea. So during my PhD program, because I had nothing else going on, I decided to add on a school counseling license. And it just, I don't know, just being like, I love clinical work too, but like being with kids in their environment where they are 5 days a week for, 7 or 8 hours a day, like you really know those kids at a little bit deeper level. And it just the energy of the school, being there as a resource for kids is something that really drew me to it.
All right, very nice. Interesting you made the jump from clinical mental health to school, but hey, if it works for you, definitely do it.
Hey, I love both. I do. It just felt different,
Hmm. Yeah, definitely, especially doing it while you're getting your doctorate degree.
Yeah. It kept me busy.
Right.
Certainly. Yeah.
All right, and that perfectly segues into the next question. So what schools did you go to for your undergraduate, graduate, and postgraduate degrees?
So undergrad and grad, NIU, go Huskies.
Hmm.
I got my undergrad here in sociology in 2012, 14, I think. And then I immediately went into the counseling program and graduated with my master's in clinical mental health counseling. I don't even know what it was, the master's in counseling, same degree that you have. So maybe I don't remember what it was, but in 2017. And then I went to the University of Arkansas, started there in 2018, and got my PhD in counselor education and supervision. I finished there in 2021.
Hmm. All right, very nice. So then, with that being said, how long have you been doing therapy for?
I mean, I guess if you go back to like practicum, right? The first time I saw a client was in spring 2016. And then first time like outside of school, like, being an adult and doing things more independently, well, still being supervised, but like independently would have been in 2017.
Okay, so you've been at this for a long while then.
I guess it's 2023, Corsair. We're getting up there.
I know. And I'm already feeling it.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
a
yeah.
story for another time, though. All right. So since you've been around the block a few times, hopefully you can share your knowledge and experience with us with this next question. So what places did you work starting off in your profession, and what did you learn as a result from working at those places?
Mhm. So before I graduated, I worked at Kendall County Health Department. Like when I was in my master's program and a little bit before that, and I did my internship there, but that was the first place I got exposed to like counseling and figuring out like community-based mental health. But my first job post-graduation was as a clinician at Mississippi Centers. I was at the Dixon office. Um, and that was my full-time job. And then my part-time job was a counselor at Family Service Agency in DeKalb before they moved to their new building. And I was at both those places like 14, 15 months maybe. I mean, the biggest thing I learned is that my ability to do the work that I was trained to do. Like I didn't feel confident, but like trying to think of how to say it. Like I knew what I was doing, even though I didn't feel confident. Like it wasn't the best work, but like I still like surprised myself. Like, oh, like they trained me well. Like I know how to do these things. I know how to do a crisis intervention. I know how to be there for a client and do treatment. And that was helped me just develop my confidence as a counselor. And I think that was the biggest thing. But also like, as you know, you're in this world where like there was a million things happening, learning how to balance a million things at a time, like a client in crisis, needing to see 5 other clients that day, needing to complete treatment plans and clinical assessments, get signatures, respond to, you know, a parent's email, like that piece of like just, you know, imagining all the plates spinning, right? Learning how to like manage all of that at one time. Because like I hadn't really experienced something like that before. So learning all of that was really a big thing too.
Yeah, definitely working at those
Mhm.
places will definitely
Yeah.
teach you how to multitask really.
Yeah. Hmm.
You know, as you mentioned though, you know, you were working at these places and all of a sudden, some way, somehow, the universe was like, TJ, you need to go get your PhD. So what actually led you to wanting to get your PhD?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this today too, because we had our PhD student orientation, and there were a couple doc students here at NIU when I was a master's student who really helped me like kind of find my way, and that like mentored me a little bit, and seeing the things that they did and seeing the things that faculty did. I think by the time I was finished with my master's program, I knew a PhD was gonna, I wanted to do one. I just didn't know when. I didn't know, should I wait a year? Should I wait 2 years? I'm not old, but I'm certainly like at that point, like knowing that a PhD program is going to be in like 3 to 4 years, I knew I wanted to start sooner. So I had decided to do it 1 year after graduation from my master's because I wanted to not be in school forever. So I just seeing everybody like the faculty and doc students connect with master's students and do research and do supervision, while also still counseling and doing all these other things that I, you know, counseling, that's who I am at my core, a counselor, but being able to do all these other things, I really liked that piece. I think, and I think that just speaks to my personality a little bit. I don't want to ever want to just do like one thing. I think that like during the day, like some days I'll be doing research, some days I'm doing super, and then 2 hours later I'm doing supervision, then I'm teaching. I like that flexibility. Like I think for me, just doing one thing every day, not even like one thing every day, but one thing a day, I think for me is I don't know, it's difficult for me to do that. So I think seeing that I could do multiple things every day really helped me feel like that this would be a fit for me. And then I decided to, yeah, do the PhD and torture myself, I guess.
Right. I bet it
Yeah.
wasn't an easy process.
No, it's like the PhD is, you know, it's hard. You know, the coursework is hard. I think the harder part is like the development. You're trying to figure out who you are, like with this PhD, because in the counseling field we don't need it, right? Like there's nothing that requires us to get anything beyond the master's, right? So it's a completely voluntary thing that you sign up to do because you just want to, and then trying to figure out how you fit into that can be really hard, and balancing coursework and doing a dissertation. All those things are like so hard, and thinking back to it, I think like, how did I do it? I don't know how I did it, but I did it somehow and got through it. But yeah, it was pretty difficult.
Oh yeah, definitely. But thankfully your hard work paid off and now you got your doctorate.
Yeah, and yeah, 2021, I defended my dissertation in June 2021, and yeah, we got those 3 fancy letters. It feels good. Yeah, it felt good to finish and be actually done with it.
Mhm. But huge but here, you like the university so much you decided to work at one. So after your PhD, you came all the way back to Illinois to work at your alma mater, NIU.
That's right. So actually, after I graduated, I worked at Northeastern State University in Oklahoma for 1 year,
Oh,
because NIU didn't have any openings. And when I left in like Illinois to go to Arkansas, I always had a goal of coming back here. You know, my family's here, my wife's family's here. You know, something about a cornfield is just nice to me. Um, but unfortunately, the year I was graduating, NIU did not have any positions. They had positions the year before I graduated, but none the year I graduated. And then in fall 2022, they had posted some positions, and I just remember being like, I don't know, like I don't know if I'll get it, right? Like, you know, just knowing that I wanted it, but it did work out. Did the whole interview process, and then you know they asked me to come back, and now I'm going into my second year here as an assistant professor. And you know, my wife, like being a Husky is important to me. My wife and I just met across campus in Worth Hall. She got her master's degree and her bachelor's degree here. You know, something about just the institution, but also like the population that the institution serves. Typically, you know, a lot of students have to work really hard to get here, right? You know, taking out loans, working 2-3 jobs sometimes. You know, those students who might not have had like the best grades in high school, and like that was me. I didn't have great grades in high school. So like just something about this institution and what it represents, I think, vibes really well with how I view students and higher education. I think that, you know, just felt good to be able to come back and give something back to this institution.
Yeah, definitely. So a little bit off the cuff question. Was it easy to transfer from, you said Oklahoma to Illinois then?
Like licensure stuff. So, okay, it's a weird thing. I've lived in Arkansas, but worked in Oklahoma. We didn't want to live in Oklahoma. We wanted to live in Arkansas. And for people from Illinois, you're going to say, why would you want to live in either of those states? It's a good question. But that's a conversation for another day. Arkansas is great. I do love Arkansas. Oklahoma is good too. It just, my wife worked in Arkansas. So we lived right on the border actually between the two. So I did get my full license in Arkansas. And then, so I actually didn't really have to do anything Illinois wise. It was transferring everything to Arkansas, which was actually a pretty easy process. They don't require the IMHCA. Their licensure is a little different. They do 3 years that you have to do. And then to be a supervisor, you have to be licensed fully for 3 years and then take a supervision class or training to get like the S. So you'd be an LPCS. So actually the transfer from Illinois to Arkansas was like, I don't know, normal size headache. You know, it's all a headache, but I don't think it was any more stressful than applying for like the Illinois license and stuff.
All right, definitely. So
I will say that, well, I'll give an off-the-cuff response too. School counseling wise, a breeze. Our clinical field needs to take a lesson from them, because first getting my school counseling license in Arkansas was super easy. Just took maybe like a month, and then transferring it to Illinois took 8 days. And I didn't have to fill out any hard documents. It was all electronic. And from the first day to the last day was 8 days until I had my school counseling, my PEL, SCPEL, whatever it is, like my school counseling endorsement here. So maybe our folks need to talk over to those folks and see how they did that, because it was super easy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I have to definitely take a note from the school counselors.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
All right. So now that you're back in Illinois, well, I guess what led you to work as an assistant professor at NIU then?
So, like, I wanted to be a professor because, again, like, I like that flexibility. I don't like to be locked into like a 8 to like 5 or, you know, 12 to 8, whatever the shift is. I like the flexibility to kind of be able to do my thing on the timetable that works best for me. So being in higher ed, like, was something I wanted to do after graduation, or after I finished my PhD. And then when the position, they actually opened, there were 2 positions opened up. And then I, you know, meeting with the faculty, coming here for the interview, the in-person interview, like it just all felt right. You know, the institution is a research 2 institution, so it provides some resources to do some research and support me in those things. And it's just, yeah, there's a lot of positive things, especially about our counseling program too, knowing that the students are strong, obviously, because we both graduated from it. That's proof that it's a strong program. but you know, of course, they're like, the students here have always been really strong and connected to the community. And that I just, knowing that those were the type of students here, I knew I wanted to find my way back to them.
All right, definitely. All right, so now we're going to get into a little bit of a fun question. I don't know if you'll consider it fun, but I consider it fun, right? So what is your favorite class to teach and why?
So I really like child and adolescent. That's probably my favorite class, just because I'm a registered play therapist. I'm a licensed school counselor. Like I love working with kids, and then helping train counselors and how to work with those kids is exciting. And plus, I get to be a little bit more playful in that class than I do in other classes. I bring play and my goofy self to all my classes, but in those classes we get to have more experiential like play stuff, and I really like that piece of it. Um, so I would say that's my favorite, but like a close second would be like I haven't taught it in a while, but the skills class that folks take where you learn those, foundational counseling skills. I just love the growth that you see in students when they come in and they're terrified week one of like, oh, I have to sit even when it's a peer, I have to sit with a peer. That's terrifying. To when they're in week 16 and they're like, doing reflections of feeling and summarizing, and it's like seeing that growth is like I just love that piece. I haven't done it in a while, that class, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun class
Yeah.
to take. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that. All right. So speaking of you being a registered play therapist, this perfectly segues into the next question. So how did you get involved in play therapy?
Yeah, so when I was at Mississippi Centers, I was working with children and adolescents, um, and I was doing a little bit of play therapy. It wasn't like as um, I would say theory bound as it should have been. It was fine. I was doing work that was helping, and I knew I wanted to grow in play therapy. And where I went to get my PhD, University of Arkansas, there's Dr. Christy Perryman, mentor, friend, all those things, I guess. And she's a registered play therapist, and she trained me in how to be a play therapist. And like when I wanted to do play therapy, I knew I wanted to go to a PhD program that had a play therapy program or classes that I could learn and grow my skills. And I'm a big goofy dude. I like to have fun. Like I've got toys all over my office. It plays to me a little bit, like my own personality and being congruent with the way I see the world and wanting to have fun. And it felt right. So being able to get like the formal training in it was just really, I don't know, something that I wanted, that I was seeking out with that PhD.
All right. Very nice. So then speaking of play therapy, what are some of your favorite techniques to use?
Yeah. So I use child-centered play therapy. It is like I don't think, I know it's the most researched and top form of play therapy. For any of you out there who took the child and adolescent class, you probably had to read Gary Landreth, right? Got that guy right here. Keep it close by. You probably read this book by Gary Landreth. That's the theory that I use with kids. I'm person-centered at my core, with teaching and supervision and counseling. So lining up with child-centered play therapy was kind of an easy fit for me. So I'm not really doing a ton of like interventions with kids 10 and under. I'm just doing the play as the intervention, right? They're expressing themselves through their natural language of play. But as they get older, like in adolescence, young adults, I might do like some more just like creative interventions. The DBT house is really good. And I always like to remind folks it's not necessarily like whatever activity you do or intervention, the way you process it through your theory is really what it is. It's not necessarily like an intervention that's just for one theory. So I like doing the DBT house and and reflecting on that, because you get to see all these fun things and learn a lot about a client. But for younger kids, the play therapy intervention is just child-centered play therapy.
All right. Very nice. Well, for everybody out there, definitely utilize that, get creative, and do what you do best.
That's right. Yeah.
So speaking of doing a lot of stuff, before you left to go to Arkansas, you were involved a lot here in the counseling organizations. And one of the things that you did was that you were president for the Illinois Association for Specialists in Group Work. So what led you to run for president of the Illinois Association for Specialists in Group Work? Sorry, it's a tongue twister.
It is. Yeah, it doesn't roll off the tongue like some of the other ones. So I was involved with ICA during, grad school. I was involved with the Illinois Counseling Illinois Counselors for Social Justice organization while I was in grad school, and then did some stuff with ICA. And then towards graduation, Dr. Kimberly Hart had mentioned that they were IASGW was looking for a president for the next year, and she thought that I would be a good fit. And I was like, "Are you sure? Like me? What do I know?" And she assured me that she wouldn't just say that for no reason. So I decided to run, and I ended up winning, which was great, and I was honored. And I think at that point where IASGW was, like, the biggest need we needed to do was focus on like developing leaders and getting some leaders involved in the organization. They're doing a lot of really great stuff now. And I think that year I was involved, we tried to get some folks into the Leadership Development Academy, get them on the board, like solidify the leadership board so that we could lead the organization and grow it. Because at the time, I think it was just me and maybe like one other person. So we had to grow the board a little bit so we could strengthen the things we would do for the members. Yeah.
All right, perfect. So I know you talked about this a little bit, so I'll go ahead and ask this question anyway, though. So what accomplishments were you most proud of, right, during your presidency term, or what did you complete essentially?
Oh, sorry, I got ahead of myself. Yeah, I think we added 2 more people to the board, and they were one thing that I was proud about it was they were actually like folks who had never been involved in anything. They were new. We had sponsored them to be in the Leadership Development Academy, and just getting new voices into it, I think was helpful. And I think that's one reason or one accomplishment that I was proud of is getting some more voices in there, growing the board so that we can meet the members' needs. Because at the time there's the old guard, but like the folks who had been involved for so many years, like Dr. Hart and some others, were moved on to other organizations or moved on to other, things within the field. So it's kind of like in a limbo period where there weren't a lot of folks involved, but this gave us an opportunity to grow the leadership board. And I think that's something that I'm proud of.
All right, definitely. Great thing to be proud of. And especially being a past president myself, right, getting people involved isn't the easiest.
No, it's not. It's a thing we do for love, out of love, right? It's a volunteer thing, and we do it because we love the field. And our field is very busy, so I get that a lot of folks don't have the time. So when we find those folks, it's really great to get them involved.
Exactly. All right, and also I know you're speaking about your time in the Leadership Development Academy. So could you explain a little bit more about your involvement with the Leadership Development Academy?
Yeah, when I was a grad student, probably 2015, I attended my first Leadership Development Academy as a participant. That was through the Illinois Counseling Association, and I'd say like 2 years later, like I had met Hector Savala and Kevin Stouffer, and I had mentioned to them that I'd be interested in helping, and they were kind of like, great. It's this piece of like, we need more people to help, and so they were they were happy to have me come and help, and so I worked with them from 2017. I still work with Hector on it, and even when I was in Arkansas, I was doing some work with them, but essentially planning out the phases within the Leadership Development Academy. Should there be 1 Leadership Development Academy, or 2 or 3? How should they be structured? And then planning those individual individual trainings so that we could get more folks involved with ICA leadership. Because as you were just saying, Corsair, it's not a lot of folks that want to do this. So when we find them, we want to like not just like throw them into it, right? And say, you want to be, a president of an organization, here it is. We want them to know that they have support and train them in some of these things that like aren't necessary, like things we don't talk about in grad school, but like things that need to know for leadership. How do you run a meeting? How do you manage a budget? How do you deal with conflict between 2 leaders? How do you develop leaders? How do you get people involved? Like all of these things that would not need to be in a counseling program. So creating curriculum around that, and also like pulling in like the voices from ICA that have been here for, or not just ICA, but as Illinois counselors for decades, bringing those voices in to lend some of their knowledge and experiences to participants.
Yeah, definitely. That's great. So a little bit on a sad note, we are down to our final three questions. Oh no.
Oh no.
Right, but
Oh
all good
no.
things must come to an end.
Yeah.
All right, so the first out of the final three, is there anything that you would like to tell people that are either starting out in the field or who have been in the field for a while?
You're doing the hard work. You're doing the work that a lot of folks don't have the ability to do. They don't have the training. They don't have the patience and empathy to do these things. Like y'all are in this field because you have a certain set of skills that like we couldn't even train you in, right? The ability to sit with another person and empathize with them. I could teach you all the theories in the world and all the counseling skills, but like that empathy is something that like all of us in this field just naturally have. You're doing the hard work. And I know at times it's hard to see the progress, but y'all are changing lives. You're changing the world we live in. And as no surprise, like this isn't a spoiler alert. The world we live in is super stressful right now. The last, especially 3 years since COVID has highlighted a lot of like disparities in the world and a lot of mental health and anxiety and depression for a lot of folks. You are the ones helping those people. And I know it can be frustrating. I know it's hard in those moments when you feel stuck, but you're doing the work. You're doing the things that a lot of folks don't have the bandwidth or ability to do. And I don't, so I'd like to tell students and folks and supervisees, can't tell you how to feel, but I just hope you all feel so proud about the work that you're doing because you are literally changing lives. And sometimes it's easy to forget that when you have a treatment plan due, or you have to update a clinical assessment, or you forgot to do a note. Those things are annoying. I get that. But all the work you do with those clients you're changing lives and you're making the world a better place.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, so then the second to last question, right? Is there anything that you would like to say that I haven't had a chance to ask you about?
I just this piece of like service and being involved with like leaders, like I love that. And as a faculty member, that is one of our requirements of being a faculty member and a professor is we have to be involved in service in our field. So you see a lot of faculty members involved with counseling organizations and all of these things, and that's great. But we want more counselors. Y'all are out in the trenches, as they say, doing the work with the clients. We want more folks to be involved with leadership that are not necessarily sitting in our offices on campus. We want the folks who are out there seeing clients. So please, I would really love just please get involved with leadership. I think that would just be so helpful. And also don't be afraid of a PhD program. We also need more faculty members to train because our field is growing and we need more people out there who are willing to train students to be able to go and help more people. So one, more counselors who are out there seeing clients, please get involved with leadership. And two, don't be afraid to do your PhD. We've got a great one here at NIU, I've heard.
Right? Wink, wink.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so now the last and most important question of all, right? A little bit of a drum roll here.
Yeah.
Where can people contact you or find you to connect?
Yeah, so you can just email me at my, let's do my Gmail. It is TJSCHOONOVER and the number 1 at gmail.com. So TJ Schoonover number 1 at gmail.com. I love to talk about things, counseling, play therapy, PhD programs. You just want to talk about life, let's talk about life. I love all those things. I love connecting with people. Well, we get into this field because we love to connect with people. There's not a lot of people in this field who don't like to connect with people. So please reach out with any questions. I would love to chat.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. All right, everybody, that is going to be it for this interview. Again, thank you, Dr. Schoonover, for coming to interview. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Corsair. Appreciate you.
All right, everybody, that's it. This is Corsair Mack, president of the Illinois Mental Health Counselors Association, signing out. And I'll see you all in the next interview. Take care.